When I first joined the crew of ESS Stalwart, my clutchmates thought I had developed a death wish. "Mersh," they chittered at me, all four primary appendages gesturing in alarm. "You're going to serve under a human captain?" I understood their concern. My species, the Quantari, are known for our logical approach to life, which is why we make excellent navigators. With 6 arms for manipulating multiple holographic control surfaces and 4 legs for staying stable during rough maneuvers, we're built for the job. What we're not built for, supposedly, is working with humans, especially not Captain Lane Potter. Even by human standards, Potter had a reputation for being completely unhinged. Stories circulated through every spaceport about how he would broadcast maniacal laughter on all frequencies during combat encounters, or how he kept a collection of ancient Earth naval paintings in his ready room, all depicting ships on fire. The most infamous tale involved him sending his previous ship's manifest to a pirate vessel, with his crew listed as lunch and their cargo as the last thing you'll ever see. What most don't know is that it's largely an act. Oh, don't misunderstand, humans are still terrifying. But Potter? He spends his off money tending to a small garden of earth flowers and teaching alien crew members how to play something called chess. The maniacal persona is a carefully crafted deterrent. Usually. The other 4 humans aboard seem to find his reputation endlessly amusing. There's Commander River at Tactical, Lieutenant Zion in Engineering, Dr. Morris in Medical, and Ensign O'Malley at Communications. They've developed a habit of dramatically whispering, "Beware the mad captain," whenever Potter walks past, causing him to roll his eyes while nearby alien crew members nervously skitter away. Today we're escorting 12 freighters through Krev's corridor. The ships are carrying medical supplies desperately needed in the outer colonies, and everyone knows the route is notorious for pirate activity. That's exactly why they assigned us, why they always assign human captains to these runs. I'm at my navigation station, all 6 arms working in perfect harmony, as I plot our course through the debris field that makes this corridor so treacherous. Captain Potter sits in his command chair, humming something he calls a sea shanty. He seems completely at ease, but I've served with him long enough to notice the subtle signs, the way his eyes keep scanning the sensor readings, how his fingers drum just a little too rhythmically on his armrest. "Nervous, Captain?" I ask, my secondary arms adjusting our shield harmonics while my primary ones maintain our course. He grins at me, and for a moment I see a flash of that calculated madness he's famous for. "Nervous? Me never, Mersh. Just eagerly anticipating another wonderful day of peaceful escort duty through this absolutely safe and not at all dangerous sector of space." The human crew members all snicker at this. They know what's coming. We all do, really. It's why the shipping companies specifically request the Stalwart for these runs, because at some point someone will be foolish enough to attack our convoy. And then they'll learn why the sight of a human in a captain's chair is considered the ultimate deterrent in modern space warfare. I just hope that when it happens, I'll be ready for whatever insane plan Potter has undoubtedly already formulated. Because if there's one thing more terrifying than a mad human captain, it's a mad human captain with a plan. The pirates arrived exactly where we expected them to, at the narrowest point of Krev's corridor, where the debris field forces ships into a predictable path. 3 vessels, Scarab-class raiders, dropping out of FTL in a standard attack formation. What wasn't standard was Captain Potter's reaction. Instead of immediately launching into his infamous mad captain routine, he simply leaned forward in his chair and smiled. Not his usual theatrical grin, but something far more unsettling. A small, satisfied smile that made my exoskeleton tingle. "Ensign O'Malley," he said quietly, "patch me through to the convoy." "Aye, sir. Channel open. Attention all vessels, this is Captain Potter. Execute emergency protocol. Lambda." I repeat, Lambda. His voice was calm, almost cheerful. The convoy captains must have recognized something in his tone, because they didn't even acknowledge the order. They just immediately began their pre-planned escape maneuvers. The lead pirate vessel, apparently confused by the lack of panic, broadcast on an open channel. "Attention escort vessel! Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. This can end without bloodshed." That's when Potter's smile widened, and I watched the transformation I'd seen so many times before. His posture shifted, his eyes took on that wild gleam, and suddenly the carefully controlled facade of madness became something far more genuine. "Commander River," he practically purred, "target their engines." "Aye, sir, though I should mention their shields are—" "Oh, I know all about their shields," Potter interrupted, waving one hand dismissively. "Mersch, bring us about on heading 227 Mark 43, full power to forward shields." All 6 of my arms moved across the controls as I executed the order, even as my logical mind screamed that this position would put us directly between the pirates and the fleeing convoy, with the debris field at our back. "Sir," I ventured, "this position leaves us no escape route." "Exactly," Potter exclaimed, and now his grin was absolutely genuine. The other humans on the bridge were grinning too, and I felt that familiar cold dread settle into my thoracic cavity. Because while Potter's madness might usually be an act, there were moments like this, when something ancient and terrifying awoke in him. In all of them, the pirates, perhaps sensing this shift, launched a spread of torpedoes. Standard procedure would be to evade, to maintain distance and pick them off from range, but Potter just sat there, watching the tactical display with an expression that could only be described as hungry. "Sir?" River asked, his finger hovering over the point-dense controls. "Hold!" Potter commanded. "Hold!" "Hold!" The torpedoes drew closer. I could feel the other alien crew members around me growing tense. Someone was making a high-pitched keening sound, and I realized it was coming from my own respiratory vents. "Sir!" I couldn't help but exclaim, all 4 legs bracing for impact. That's when Potter's expression shifted one final time, into something that made his previous displays of madness look tame by comparison. He stood up from his chair, pointed at the largest pirate vessel and shouted 2 words that would haunt my nightmares forever. "Ramen seed!" There's a moment, just after your captain orders you to deliberately crash into another spaceship, where time seems to stop. Every one of my appendages froze on the controls as my mind tried to process the impossible command. The humans, though, they erupted. Lieutenant Zion's voice came screaming over the comm. "Full power to structural integrity, diverting everything we've got." He sounded positively gleeful. Commander River was actually laughing as he fired a precise spread of counter-torpedoes, not to destroy the incoming weapons, but to detonate them early, creating a debris cloud that would mask our approach. O'Malley, that apparently quiet communications officer, had started playing something over the ship's internal speakers, something with screaming guitars and drums that made my sensory bristles vibrate. Later, I learned it was called Sabaton, specifically a song about something called the Bismarck. And Potter? Potter stood at the center of this chaos like a conductor before an orchestra of destruction. "Marsch," he bellowed. "I need those beautiful arms of yours to give me everything this ship has." My training took over. 6 arms moved in perfect synchronization, plotting the shortest possible course to impact. 4 legs adjusted my stance to compensate for the increasing G-forces as we accelerated. The debris field behind us actually worked in our favor. We used it for a gravitational slingshot, adding to our velocity. The pirate vessel tried to evade, of course. But that's the thing about physics. Once you commit to a collision course with enough mass and velocity, the laws of motion become rather simple. They had 2 choices: stay and die, or run and live. They chose to run. 2 of them anyway. The 3rd ship, their flagship, was a fraction too slow in realizing that Captain Potter wasn't bluffing. We struck them at an angle, our reinforced bow shearing through their shields like they weren't even there. The impact sent both ships spinning, but Potter had planned for this too. "All hands brace for secondary collision," he shouted, somehow still standing while the rest of us clung to our stations. The debris field we'd used to accelerate now became our brake, a carefully calculated series of glancing impacts that bled off our momentum. The pirate vessel wasn't so lucky. Their spin took them directly into the densest part of the field. They didn't explode exactly, they just came apart. When it was over, when damage control teams were scrambling and Dr. Morris was treating the minor injuries, I finally found my voice. "Captain," I asked, "what would you have done if they hadn't run?" Potter turned to me, and for just a moment I saw through the mask of madness to something else, something that might actually be more frightening. Pure, calculated reason. "Mersh, my friend," he said quietly, that theatrical grin returning. "Who said I was bluffing? That was 3 cycles ago. Now, whenever I visit a spaceport, I hear the stories. About the mad human captain who rams pirate ships for fun. About how he must be completely insane to even attempt such tactics. But I know the truth. Captain Potter isn't crazy. He's something far more terrifying. He's a human who's simply willing to do whatever it takes to protect his convoy. The madness is just a bonus, though I have to admit, the look on his face when he shouts, 'Ramming speed,' does make me wonder sometimes. After all, only humans could turn suicidal tactics into an art form, and only humans would be crazy enough to survive doing it." Thank you so much for listening to this story. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave it a like and to subscribe if you'd like to see more. Feel free to comment and share it as well. With all that said, go on and check out the video in the top left. I think you might like it.